Hi, this is Tamara from mooglyblog.com, and in this video I'm going to be demonstrating how to crochet the forked cable square, which is an 8-inch granny square or motif, and you'll find it as a free pattern on mooglyblog.com. Just go to the search engine of your choice and type in Moogly forked cable square, and it should pop right up. To make this block, I used a J 6mm crochet hook. This one is by Furls. I also used about 55 yards of red heart with love. I also recommend that you have some stitch markers handy. I recommend those for every pattern I make. As I said, this is an 8-inch block, and 8-inch squares are measured across and up and down, not diagonally. So this is 8 inches and this is 8 inches. Let's go ahead and get started with this lovely square. So first, let's take a quick look at our finished squares. You can see here I've worked it up in a couple of colors. This is what the back looks like, nice and solid. On the front, we've got these cables right here that create this sort of forked shape. And you can see it's symmetrical. All four sides are the same. And we have just a little bit of detailing around the side for extra interest. You could easily combine this with other 8-inch squares or make an entire blanket or whatever you'd like out of just this pattern. Let's go ahead and make another one. First, let's go over the notes. Joining with a single crochet creates a chain space in the last or first corner. So when we go work in rounds, we're going to be joining with a single crochet instead of with a slip stitch. When you see the instructions to work the next front post double crochet or into the next front post double crochet, it's referring to the one coming up next in the row below. It may be the next stitch or a few stitches away yet. When you see instructions referring to the previous or prev front post double crochet, it's referring to the one most recently passed in the row below. It may be one stitch back or several stitches back, and that'll make more sense as we work through the pattern together. Finally, note that after making a front post double crochet, you should always skip the top of the next stitch in the row below. We are increasing on the in the corners, but we don't want to necessarily be adding increases in the middle of our sides of our square. So now let's get started. So for round one, we start by making a magic circle. Here's how I like to make mine. I'm going to take my non-hook hand and go over the forefinger twice towards me, just like that. A lot of words for this motion. Over my finger towards me, twice. So now I've got 2 loops on my finger, and I can use the other fingers of that hand to hold on to the working yarn and the yarn tail and sort of secure these 2 loops up here. Now I'm going to take my hook and slip it under both of those loops, grab the one that's furthest back, closest to my knuckle, and pull it just under the edge of the other one. Now I can use my fingers to grab that working yarn and bring it up so that I can yarn over and pull through. And now I've got a ring that I can crochet into. Again, if you have a different way that you like to make your magic circle, that's totally fine too. You can use whichever method you like best. Now we want to work 3 double crochets followed by a chain 2 into here 3 times. Now, I've given you the option of starting that first double crochet however you'd like. Some people like to chain 3 for their first double crochet. That is the most traditional method. Others prefer something called a stacked single crochet. The way I like to do it is with a chainless starting double crochet. And to do that, I pull up on my loop to the height approximately of a double crochet. Then I'm going to secure the top of that loop with my finger on top of my hook so that it can't move around on the hook itself. I will yarn over with that tall loop. Let me show you that again. I secure the top of the loop and yarn over with the loop itself. Then I can go right into my magic circle, yarn over with my working yarn, and pull up a loop. You'll notice I still haven't let go of the top of that loop with my finger. So now I can yarn over, pull through that loop, pull behind the yarn over, and finally, with 2 loops left on the hook here, I can release the top of that loop, yarn over, and pull through both of those loops to finish it. I do have a separate video on this on my channel if you'd like to go over that again. So with our first double crochet made, and again, you can chain 3 if you prefer, I need to make 2 more into the ring. And as I do that, you'll notice for all of these stitches, when I work into the ring, I make sure that I capture not just the ring that goes all the way around my finger, but this little tail end as well. That's what's going to give us the magic at the end and allow us to pull it all closed. Now, with a few stitches made, I'm going to go ahead and pull out my finger because my ring feels nice and sturdy now. It's not going anywhere. But I am going to bring in those stitch markers here. And I'm going to put the first stitch marker right in the top of that first stitch I made. So if you did a chain 3, you would put this in the top of that third chain. If you did a stacked single crochet, you'd want to put that in the top of your stacked single crochet. I'm going to put it in the top of my chainless starting double crochet. So with those 3 double crochets made, we chain 2, and that's the first of that repeat. We need to do that a total of 3 times. So that's the first one. We do it twice more. Double crochet 3 times in the ring. Again, make sure with each stitch that you capture that tail end in there as well. So there's 2, oop, and 3, and then chain 2, and then we do it again. Now, you'll see it seems like I'm starting to run out of my little tail end here. That's okay. We can start to pull our circle closed. We don't want to pull it all the way closed. In fact, you can put the finger in there to make sure we don't, but you can definitely tighten it up a little bit so you've got a little bit more length there to work around. So we've got one more of those repeats here. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And of course, we can't forget the chain 2. And then with that done, we are going to double crochet 3 more times back in this ring. Sort of a standard start for a granny square. If you've made lots of granny squares before, you'll recognize this. But this time, instead of chaining 2 here after this set of 3, we're going to chain 1 and then join to that first double crochet we made, whether it's a double crochet or a chain 3 or whatever it is, we're going to join to that with a single crochet. So we've got our chain 1. We're going to insert our hook right in the top of that first stitch we made. Pull up our loop. Don't slip stitch though. That's the instinct. Instead, make a single crochet. And you can see the reason we do this is because it drops our hook basically back into the center of this corner rather than having it over here on top of that stitch. So with that made, I am going to, let me secure that loop. I'm going to pull up one more stitch marker here. I'm going to go ahead and put it in that last double crochet of the round, just to help me keep track of where I'm going. Like I say, I always like to use lots of stitch markers. With all the stitches made, we can take our tail end and finally close up that center circle. Give it a nice tug. There we go. Nice strong one. Then that pulled it closed. With this particular yarn, it's nice and strong, so you can pull as strong as you'd like. If you're using a different yarn that you don't trust to stand up to a strong pull like that, you can always use the yarn needle at the end to weave in and close up that center circle. So now we have finished round 1. For round 2, we start with a chain 1 and we single crochet back in that same chain space, meaning the chain space we landed in the middle of. Don't be afraid to just go right around that single crochet with this single crochet. Then I'm going to go ahead and move my stitch marker right on up because this is now my new first stitch of the round. There we go. Then if we go back to our instructions, you can see we begin our asterisk section. So that means we begin our repeat. So we are going to front post double crochet around the next double crochet. So let's yarn over and look at our stitches. We have a section of 3 double crochets right here. We're going to come around from the front, right around that first double crochet for a front post double crochet. Just like so. Then we single crochet in the next stitch, so that would be the middle one, and front post double crochet around the third one. There we go. That brings us to the corner where we're going to work single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet, all in that corner chain 2 space. Let me pull up a little bit more yarn. And then, of course, each side is the same. Front post double crochet around the first one, single crochet in the next one, front post double crochet around the third one. And in the corner, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. So continue that around and I'll meet you as we come to that last corner. Okay, so here you can see I'm on that fourth side, but I haven't finished the corner yet because again, we're going to have a little bit of a different corner here. When we come to that last chain 2 space, the one where we started in, we'll have a single crochet, chain 1, And then once again, we want to join with a single crochet right back in the top of that first stitch we made, like so. All right, and there we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and move that stitch marker right into that last single crochet right there. You can see this is going to count as our chain 2 space, but that is what it should look like at the end of round 2. So round 3 starts the same with a chain 1 and a single crochet in that first quote unquote chain 2 space, the one created by the chain 1 and single crochet. So again, I like to move my stitch marker right on up so that I know right where I started that round. Now, let's take a look at our instructions because once again, we jump right into our repeat. We're going to work a front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet. So we remember our notes. What does that mean? We need a yarn over and we're going to look for the front post double crochet coming up next in the row. So that's going to be that one right here. And we just slide our hook right behind the post and make a double crochet like so. Now, remember, anytime we make a front post double crochet, we want to skip the stitch behind it, the top of the stitch behind it. So that means we're going to skip that one right there and work in the next one. And according to our instructions, that's supposed to be a single crochet, like so. Then we're going to front post double crochet around the next stitch. So the very next stitch is this single crochet right here. We're just going to work a front post double crochet right around it. We yarn over and pull up our loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. Then we're going to single crochet in the next stitch, which will be the top of that front post double crochet right there. And then we're going to front post double crochet around the previous front post double crochet. Again, you'll remember from when we went over our notes, previous means we just go back. This was the most recent one right here, the one we just worked into the top of. So now we go around that one. Now we want to skip the next stitch. So that's going to be that one right here, which brings us right to our chain 2 space where we're going to work single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. And if you'd like, you can even put stitch markers in your chain 2 spaces. Lots of people like to do that as well to help them keep track. So that brings us to our second side. Let's do all that together one more time. We finished our corner, so now we've got those middle stitches to deal with. We're going to front post double crochet around that first front post double crochet, the next one. We want to skip the next stitch right there, so then we single crochet in the next stitch, which will be the top of that front post double crochet in the row below. Pull up a little bit more yarn here. Then we're going to front post double crochet right around that single crochet. There we are. Doesn't have a lot of post to it, but it's got enough. Single crochet in the next stitch, which would be the top of that post stitch. And now front post double crochet around the previous post stitch. So the one we just worked into. That lets us skip that last stitch on that side and brings us to the chain 2 space here in the corner, where we single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. So that's how we work the sides here for round 3. When we come back around, remember when we get to that last corner, we're going to do the same thing. Single crochet, chain 1, and join with a single crochet. So this is what it should look like at the end of round 3. And we're ready to begin round 4. And of course, it begins the same way. Chain 1, single crochet right back in that same chain 2 space, the one you landed in the middle of at the end of the previous round. And I will go ahead and move up my stitch marker here. All right, and now we're all set again to look at our repeat for round 4. For this one, we're going to single crochet in the next stitch, and then front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet 3 times. So that began our repeat. Single crochet, then front post double crochet around the next. So we can use our fingers. If your yarn color doesn't allow you to see it very well, you can actually feel right where that next front post double crochet is. We front post double crochet right around it. And of course, when we do that, we need to make sure to skip the top of the stitch behind it. And then we single crochet in the next stitch and front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet right there. Single crochet in the next stitch And then finally, front post double crochet around this third one right here. And that finishes our repeat. Then we are going to single crochet in the next stitch right there, which brings us to our corner where we work single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. So let's do side 2 together. We're going to start with a single crochet in the next stitch, front post double crochet around the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch. Make sure you skip the top of that stitch behind it. There we go. Then front post double crochet around the next stitch. Make sure you skip the top of that next stitch to single crochet in the next. Front post double crochet around the stitch after that. And finish it up with a single crochet in the last single crochet right on that side. And of course, that brings us to our chain 2, where we single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. So we do that on the next 2 sides, finishing up with our single crochet, chain 1, and join with a single crochet. And here is what your square should look like at the end of round 4, which sets us up for round 5 to begin again with our chain 1 and single crochet back in that first chain space, like so. So I'll move up my stitch marker. There we go. And now we're ready for our repeat. On round 5 here, we're going to start with a front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet. So now, again, if you can't see it, you can always feel for it. You can see it's all the way over here. So we're going to yarn over and go ahead and insert our hook all the way over here underneath that post stitch and make your double crochet. Then we want to make sure to skip the top of the very next stitch. That's going to be that one right there. Let me pull my fingers out of the way a little bit. You can see we worked into that stitch was our first stitch. We just made our front post stitch, so we want to skip this one. That means that right there is the next stitch we'll work into. So once I get my yarn behind my hook here, we can get our hook right in the top of that stitch. So we're going to single crochet in that stitch and the next stitch. And then we're going to front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet. So again, you can feel it's that one right there in the middle. We're going to front post double crochet right around that one. Make sure we skip the stitch behind it so we can put our finger on, or just note the next stitch after that then is the one we just worked around. So we're going to work a single crochet right in the top there of that stitch we just worked around. And then we're going to front post double crochet around the previous post stitch. So that means we're going to come right back and work another one right around that same stitch one more time, like so. So around that central one, we had a front post stitch, a single crochet, and another front post stitch all worked into there. Now we just made a post stitch, so we're going to skip the next stitch. So that is the next stitch we're looking at. We are going to work, let me check my instructions here because this is a long one. Single crochet in the next 2 here. 1, 2, and then we're going to front post double crochet in the previous. So we're going to come back to that one we just passed back here, that third one in the row below, and work a front post double crochet there. So that will count. We've got to skip that next stitch right there, and it lands us right in our chain 2 space. So we single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet, and we're all set up to do it again. So let's do one more side here together. So for this one, we're going to start with a front post double crochet around that first front post double crochet in the row below. So it's a long stretch all the way over there. Then we skip the next stitch because we just made a post stitch and single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So that's going to be the stitch right before the stitch we just worked around, and then the stitch we had just worked around. They both get a single crochet. Then we're going to address this one right here in the middle. We're going to skip this next stitch because next we're going to be making a front post stitch. So we're going to front post double crochet around that center one. Then work a single crochet right in the top of that stitch that we just worked around. And then front post double crochet around the same post stitch. Now it's the previous one because we've kind of officially moved past it. There we are. Now, of course, we need to skip the stitch behind the post stitch we just made, which lands us right in the top of this post stitch, where we put a single crochet, and then a single crochet in the next one. There's one more stitch on this side, but we'll skip it because we're going to work a front post double crochet around the post stitch we just passed. So the third one in the row below, like so. That lands us in our chain 2 space where we single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet again. There we go. So you can see our side. We've got our corner, and then we've got our front post double crochet, 2 single crochets, front post, single crochet, front post, 2 single crochets, front post, and then back to the corner. Go ahead and do those along the last 2 sides, and we'll end with that same join where we single crochet, chain 1, and join with a single crochet. And here's the square after round 5. For round 6, we're going to start again with a chain 1 and single crochet in that first chain space, the one we began in, or rather the one we finished in the previous round. I'll move up my stitch marker, and then we're ready for our repeat. We begin with a single crochet in the next stitch. Then we work a front post double crochet around the next post stitch, so we find that next one right there. Remember, this one's at a little bit of an angle. We go ahead and work our front post double crochet right around that one. We'll, of course, skip the stitch underneath, so that brings us to this one. We're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1, 2. Then we're going to work a front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet, so that's this very next stitch. And then we single crochet in that single crochet, work a front post double crochet around this front post double crochet, single crochet in each of those next 2 single crochets, and work a front post double crochet right around this front post double crochet. Then we single crochet in the last stitch of the side, and that brings us to the corner. Single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in the chain 2 space. So for this one, we're actually just working the same stitches into each stitch below. Let's do that again one more time. We're going to single crochet in the first stitch, which is a single crochet. Then we front post double crochet around the front post double crochet. Get that pulled through. There we go. Then we single crochet in the next 2 single crochets. Front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet. Single crochet in the top of the single crochet. Front post double crochet around the front post double crochet. Single crochet in the next 2 single crochets. Front post double crochet around that last front post double crochet. And finish it up with a single crochet in that last single crochet. Of course, now we're back at the corner, so we need to do our standard corner. And we will continue to do that for the next 2 sides, finishing up with that same joining with a single crochet like we've been doing before. So this is what your square should look like at the end of round 6. For round 7, we start again with that chain 1 and single crochet back in that chain space. Sometimes I still have to pull it apart to see exactly where I want to stick my hook. There we go. Move that stitch marker right on up. And for our repeat for this one, we're going to jump right back into our post stitches. So we're going to front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet. So we can feel for it or look for it. It's the very next one there coming up in the row. So we work our front post double crochet. There we go, right around that one. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches. Now again, remember, we want to skip the one behind the post stitch we just made. So that means those 2 will be worked into the stitch right before the stitch we worked the post stitch around, and then the top of the stitch we worked the post stitch around, right there. Like so. There we go. Then we're going to front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet. So that means we keep going down the row and find the next one. Like so. Then we single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So again, we want to skip the next one there because we worked a post stitch. The next one that we work into will be the one right before the stitch we worked our stitch around, and then the top of the stitch we worked our post stitch around. There we go, like so. Then we're going to front post double crochet around the next stitch, or rather around, yes, the next stitch. I had to double check my instructions there. So right around this next single crochet right here, we're going to add a little front post double crochet right there. And of course that means we will not work into the top of that single crochet. We're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So 1, 2, then we're going to front post double crochet around the previous front post double crochet. So that means rather than going to the next one, we're going to go back to the one we most recently passed and make our front post double crochet right there. We will skip that next stitch, puts my hook right there. We're going to single crochet in that stitch and the next stitch, and then front post double crochet around the previous one again. So now that's going to be this one right here. There we are. Get our hook right behind it and make our front post double crochet. That one wanted to be a front post half double crochet. We want a double crochet. There we go. All right. So after we've done that, then of course that counts over that stitch. So it puts us right back in our corner. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. As always with cables, that's a lot of moves. So let's go ahead and do that all again here for round 7. We're going to front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet. So don't worry about all these. We know we're going to skip that one. And that one right there is going to be the next one we work into the top of. So if you'd like, if you start getting confused, you can drop in a stitch marker there if you need to. We're going to make our front post double crochet right around that next front post double crochet. And after that, we know we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches, starting with that one we marked. So we can use our stitch marker to help guide our hook and then just drop it right out of the way. So there's 1 and 2. Then we're going to front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet. So we find that next one coming up in the future here. And that's the one we want to work around. Same thing. We're going to skip the next one. So then we work a single crochet in the stitch after that, single crochet in the stitch after that. That's going to land us right in the center of our row here, you can see. We want to put a front post double crochet right around that single crochet in the previous row. And of course, we're not going to work into the top of that stitch because we worked a post stitch around it. Now we single crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1, 2, and then we come back and work a front post double crochet around the post stitch we just passed, like so. We're going to skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1, 2, front post double crochet in this post stitch we just passed. Get under there. Let's see. Sometimes they like to hide a little bit. There we go. Get right on under that post. That allows us to skip that last stitch there and puts us, again, right back in our corner. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So you can rewind if you need to, do the last 2 sides just like that, and finish up with that join with a single crochet, just as we've been doing all along. And here we have round 7. For round 8, we start again with that chain 1 and single crochet in that chain space there. And that dumps us right into our repeat. We're going to start our repeat with a single crochet in the next stitch, then a front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet, and then single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So we want to skip that one and single crochet in the next 2. And we want to do that sequence of 3 stitches 4 times, meaning front post double crochet and single crochet in the next 2, 4 total times. That was once. Let's do it 3 more. We're beginning the second repeat now. Front post double crochet around the next one, single crochet in the next 2. Front post double crochet around the next one, begins repeat 3. There we go. Single crochet in the next 2. 1 and 2. Repeat number 4. Front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet. Single crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. Then front post double crochet around this next front post double crochet right here. Single crochet in the last stitch. And we're back to the corner. Single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. So in this one, we're actually just going straight up and down again, working each stitch into the same stitch. So if we see a single crochet like we've got right here, we put a single crochet in it. When we come to a front post double crochet, we work a front post double crochet. Next is 2 single crochets. 1, 2. Next is a front post double crochet. Followed by 2 single crochets. 1, 2. Followed by another front post double crochet. 2 more single crochets. And another front post double crochet. 2 more single crochets. 1 more front post double crochet for this side. 1 more single crochet. And with that, we're all the way back in the corner with our single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. So once again, you'll repeat those for the other 2 sides and finish up by joining with a single crochet. So here we have round 8, and now we're ready for round 9. We start again with that chain 1 and single crochet back in that chain space we finished up in. And then, as always, for this pattern at least, that takes us straight to our repeat. Trying to keep it as simple as I can, even with all these fun cables. So to begin the repeat here for round 9, we're going to start by single crocheting in the first 3 stitches. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to work a front post double crochet around the previous front post double crochet. You can see that third one was actually in the top of the front post double crochet in the row below, so that makes it a previous one now. So we need to go back and work a post stitch right around that one. Then, of course, we want to skip the next stitch behind the post stitch, single crochet in the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. Now we're going to front post double crochet around the previous because we just worked into the top of it. There we go. We want to make sure to skip 1 stitch behind the post stitch. Then we're going to single crochet in the stitch after that. Work a front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet, which would be right in the next stitch there. And then single crochet in the next stitch, like so. And now we're going to front post double crochet in the next front post double crochet. So we're going to be reaching over a little bit for that one. Want to make sure we skip the stitch behind it, or behind our new post stitch, I should say. Single crochet in the next 2 stitches. Front post double crochet around the next one, so that's going to be a future one, like so. Skip the top of the next stitch there, and then we single crochet in the last 3 stitches. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Brings us to our corner where we single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet again. All right, let's do that one more time here for our second side. If you take a look, you can see what we're doing here. We're coming this way on the first 2, straight up and down on the third one, and then in this way on the last 2. So let's do it again. We've got our corner made. We're going to start by single crocheting in the first 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Front post double crochet around the previous front post double crochet. single crochet in the next 2 stitches, front post double crochet around the previous front post double crochet. Get that through, there we go. Single crochet in the next stitch, front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet, single crochet in the next single crochet, front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet. Now we're coming back in towards the middle there. And then we want to single crochet in the next 2. So there's 1 and 2. Single crochet, or excuse me, front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet. So that'll be picking up that last one there. Again, still bringing that back towards the center there for our line, sort of cupping our forked cables there. And then we need to single crochet in the last 3 stitches. So there's first one of those is right in the top of that front post double crochet in the row below to help you make sure you're in the right spot there. And then after those 3, we should be right back in our corner. Let me get that loop back on there. There we go. So we single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. And at this point, I think you know the drill. Repeat that for the last 2 sides and be sure to join with a single crochet. And here is what your square should look like at the end of round 9. We start as always with that single crochet in that same chain space, and then we begin our repeat for round 10. For this one, we're going to start by single crocheting in the first 5 stitches. So let's go in there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to front post double crochet around the previous front post double crochet. We had just worked into the top of it, so that makes it a previous one. Front post double crochet right on around it, and then single crochet in the next stitch. Again, we always want to make sure to skip a stitch on the previous row whenever we make a post stitch. So now we've got, within our repeat that starts with the asterisk, we've got a section in brackets. Front post double crochet around next front post double crochet, single crochet in next stitch 3 times. So let's do that together. Front post double crochet around next front post double crochet, single crochet in the next stitch. That's 1. Begin the second repeat. Front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet, single crochet in the next stitch. For our third repeat, front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet, and single crochet in the next single crochet. Then, going back to our repeat, we front post double crochet around the next one. So this one's going to be a little bit of a stretch. Pulling that one over towards the center. There we go. Then we're going to single crochet in the last 5 stitches. So don't forget, the first one of those is actually going to be in the top of the post stitch of the row below. So there's 2, 3, 4, and 5. That should bring us back to our corner with a single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. So let's do that sequence one more time here for round 10. We start with a single crochet in the first 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we're going to front post double crochet in the previous stitch. And then we're going to single crochet in the next stitch. I want to make sure I land in the right spot there. And then we have that pair, the front post double crochet and single crochet, 3 times. So we'll begin the first one. Front post double crochet, single crochet in the next. Our second repeat, front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet, single crochet in the next. Oop, there we go. And finally, our third repeat. Front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet, single crochet in the next stitch. Now, to finish up our repeat here, we're going to front post double crochet in the next front post double crochet. And then we are going to single crochet in those last 5 stitches along this side. So there's 2, 3, 4, and 5. And in our corner, we single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. So just like before, repeat that for the last 2 sides and join with your single crochet. And here we have finished round 10. You can see we've got that great shape showing up with our cables, and now we're ready for round 11. Only 3 more rounds to go. I've already taken the liberty of putting that first single crochet there in the corner so that we can jump right on into our repeat. For this one, we're going to start with a single crochet in the first, or rather the next, 7 stitches. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that 7th one, you can see, lands right in the top of that first post stitch right there. So now we're going to front post double crochet around the previous post stitch, which is the one we just worked into the top of. There we go. Then we're going to single crochet in the next stitch. And then we're going to work a front post double crochet around the previous one, the one we just worked into the top of. And then we're going to front post double crochet around the next 2 front post double crochets. So that means we're going to yarn over and jump all the way over to this one and work a front post double crochet right there, followed by a front post double crochet around the next one all the way over here. So we bring those all 3 in right next to each other, like so. Now, we just worked 3 front post double crochet stitches, which means we need to make sure to skip 3 back here. 1, 2, 3. Easy enough to see. That means our next stitch we work into is going to be the top of the stitch that last post stitch was. So right there. All right. I'm going to go, I know the next stitch is going to be a single crochet, so I'm going to go ahead and put it there before we go back to our instructions. We've worked the front post double crochet, those 3 in a row. We do single crochet in the next stitch, which we kind of figured, right? Next, we're going to front post double crochet in the next stitch. So we jump on over to this one. And then we will single crochet in the next stitch, which you can see is right in the top of the stitch we worked that post stitch around right there. And then we just continue. We single crochet in the next 6 stitches. So that's 7 total, the last 7 stitches, starting with the top of that one right there. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, landing us right back in our corner space. So we can single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. So let's look at that. Do you see how we brought all those in towards the center? Let's do it again. We're going to start with single crochet in the first 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then we front post double crochet around the previous front post double crochet. Single crochet in the next stitch, which is actually the top of this front post double crochet right here. Oops. And then we're going to front post double crochet around the one we just worked into the top of. And then front post double crochet around each of the next 2 front post double crochets. So 1 and 2. And then our next single crochet will be in the top of that stitch, the previous front post double crochet in the row below. Then we front post double crochet, get this last one hanging out over here, this next front post double crochet, and then we simply single crochet in the last 7 stitches of the side. That first one, of course, can be a little trickier to get into there behind our post stitches. But there's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, which takes us to our corner, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. So once again, repeat that on the last 2 sides and join with a single crochet. So here is what your square should look like after round 11. At this point, you may want to start measuring it. If you need exactly 8 inches, you may need to stop now, or you may want to think about adding an extra round. For round 12, we start again with that chain 1 in that same chain space, just like before. Now we're going to single crochet in the next 9 stitches to start our repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And you'll see that ninth one lands us right in the top of that front post double crochet. So next we front post double crochet around the previous front post double crochet. It's the one we just landed on top of, like so. There we go. And then we're going to front post double crochet around the next 4 front post double crochets. So we're bringing them all up together right here. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, that was a total of 5 post stitches in a row. So when we skip the 5 stitches behind it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can see how that's going to land us right there, which is the top of that last stitch we just worked a post stitch around. So that gives us a great place to go in for our hook as we single crochet in the last 9 stitches along the side rather. So that's the first one. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that brings us to our corner where we single crochet, then chain 2, and then single crochet, just like we've been doing throughout. So this one was pretty simple. I think once is probably enough to get that. We single crochet in the first 9, front post double crochet in each front post double crochet, and single crochet in the last 9 with our standard corner, and one more time, join with a single crochet. That just leaves round 13, which is simply a round of back loop only single crochet all the way around with our single crochet, chain 2, single crochet corners. So really quickly, if you haven't used front loop and back loop before, to determine that, we look at the top 2 loops of each stitch. No matter what kind of stitch it is, you can see here, we've got single crochets and we've got post stitches. They all have these 2 loops at the top. And front loop and back loop are always relative to you, the crocheter. So this is the front loop, and this is the back loop. So for that last round, we simply single crochet all the way around, working those stitches under the back loop only. And we can see what that looks like here in one of our finished squares. By working in that back loop only, we get a nice little frame all the way around here. Now, as I say, after blocking it out, this should measure 8 inches by 8 inches. But if you need to, you can certainly work taller stitches here for this last round, or add more rows, or even eliminate it if needed to get just the right size for your project. And that's how to crochet the forked cable square. Again, you'll find it as a free pattern on mooglyblog.com. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more great crochet.